You can measure how much you want something based off how much you're willing to give up to get it. In this video, I'm going to give you more of a backstory of who I am. Obviously, you may or may not know me. This is very early on in the channel, so I'm going to give you a backstory of who I am, my purpose, why I'm doing this channel, why I'm doing my podcast, my business, the mission behind my business. I'll give you the insights that you may or may not know. But before we get there, it's always going to come back to you. My passion and my purpose is ultimately coming back to you and teaching you what I know that can better your life. So a purpose, especially when you're young, I predominantly am focusing this channel around high school athletes. I work with high school athletes. So at a young age, purpose in life is a lot more just driven towards what you need to be focusing on in that moment. It's a lot more about focus. It's a lot more about having goals and targets, not so much this is my purpose with my life. You're 14 to 18 years old. You shouldn't know what your purpose is. You don't even know what you want to do for your career. You probably don't know if you're even going to college or not. If you are, you don't know what your degree is going to be. It's very understandable that you don't know a lot of the things of the world, nor should you. It's not need to be where your focus is at. But focus is specifically what I'm referring to for you. And what you'll see is that develops specifically the goals that you have now. That will develop into the paths that you choose to go down, and that develops with who you are, and you will find more about yourself, and you'll learn your purpose, because at some point in your 20s or maybe even your 30s, you will learn what your true life purpose is, and that takes you off on a whole new path. And maybe we get there on this channel, maybe we don't. But for today, I'll tell you more about me, and then also want to build you up to how you can get to a place where every day you wake up and you have intentional reason, and you have direction, and you have a focus, and you have a why as to what you do. So if you were to work with me as a client, as an example, or you are working with your current set of coaches, your teachers, whatever you have going on in your life, there is a reason, or should be a reason, behind everything that you do. From not just what you're doing because it's Monday, but what you practice, what you do in the weight room, what you do with your nutrition. I know that might sound a little bit more disciplined than the common athlete in high school, but when you have a real focus and purpose, you'll, believe it or not, you will have that disciplined meal structure, a rhyme and a reason between what you say yes to and what you don't say yes to. All of this starts to come together. Before I get into that and before I go any further, I want to make something very clear, because this is one of the biggest mistakes people make when I talk about you need to have a goal, you need to have a target, is they think that based off what they're currently doing in their life, that they need to start adding a lot more things to their plate. Some people, yes. Some athletes, yes. But for the vast majority, the answer is actually a subtraction, not an addition. You probably need to be doing less and focusing deeper on what you really need to be going after. That doesn't mean you need to quit a certain sport. That doesn't mean you need to quit. We would have to talk more on a one-on-one level for me to tell you exactly what you need to quit. But I just want to make it clear that it's not always about saying you need to have a target, which means you need to think about more and do more. It actually just means you need to dial in and focus and live life with intentionality. There's a common phrase that says, a sculpture is not completed when you've added everything you possibly can to it. A sculpture is completed when you've removed everything you can possibly can to it. And what that means is a lot of the things in your life, in order for you to get to where you want to go to, with whatever your purpose, your target, your goal ends up being, or set of goals, you're going to have more than one. Whatever your goals and targets are, it's probably looking at what you're doing on a daily basis and finding what you can subtract out of your life so that you can double down on what yields you the greatest return. That's going to be what the key of this is. So don't take this message and think, oh God, this is a video. I'm already doing all that I can. You probably are, and you probably need to be doing less. We'll get into that maybe in this video, maybe down the road. But first and foremost, just don't worry about thinking addition. Think about what you can do that is not worth your time in your life and allows you to double down on what you care about the most. So if you're in high school, a common goal might be you want to play collegiate sports. Maybe you just want to make the most of your high school career and make the most memories. Maybe you want to win a state championship. Maybe you're on a team that's competitive enough to do that. That would be a blessing. Maybe you just want to be all state, all region, all district, all tournament, whatever that is. Maybe it's more academic driven. There's really no wrong answer. You get to pick your own goals in life. That's the beauty of life. And you get to pick your own targets. But the key with that is, I've said this in my previous video when I talked to you about a little bit about purpose. I spoke to you about intentionality, about how great athletes are greedy, about how it's aggression and determination, not about discipline and living this very scarcity mindset. It's about attacking what you really want. So I started all this by saying you can set a standard of measuring how much you want something based off how much you are willing to give up in order to achieve that. And that stands for you now as a high school athlete, but that will stand for you in college, and that will stand for you in anything you do, any endeavor, whether it's relational, career-driven, sports-driven, it does not matter. Whatever you really want, the fruit bears. You'll show it in your actions, consciously or unconsciously. I can look at what you do on a daily basis, and I can see what is most important to you. And that doesn't have to be said in a harsh way. Like, maybe it is because you're doing a lot of stuff you shouldn't be doing, but maybe you're not, maybe you're really truly putting your time and effort where it needs to be, and then good for you if that's the case. Okay. So you'll work towards your purpose in life, but right now let's focus on getting some specific goals. And right now let's focus on getting some specific targets, because your targets and your goals will develop a timeline. And that timeline is how you develop a program. I'm in the strength and conditioning space, so I'm very program driven. I'm very big on habits and routine and leadership, because I know, having been a two-sport collegiate athlete, that your talent will take you places, your character can't keep you. So we want to develop and maximize whatever talent, athletic capabilities you have. Absolutely. But I also want to build you as an athlete from the inside out, because again, your talent, let me repeat, will take you places, your character can't keep you. Most athletes that you see at the collegiate level or even onto the professional level that become bust, they might have been overdrafted, they might have been over-recruited, but a lot of times they were the hype was real. The character, the work ethic, and all the intangibles were not there to match the talent. Majority of the time, the bust, that was the issue. Okay? So that's my spiel that you can take for yourself today. After you watch this video, go back and really start to get some organization to your life, because then once you have that, once we got a target, you can start to develop a program that's best for you. How often you lift weights, what you should be doing when you lift weights, the way that you should eat, what your day-to-day life should look like will be based off your goals and your targets, which then becomes timelines, time frames. And then as you develop into life, you will start to build not just an identity for yourself, but you'll understand more about yourself. And that's where your bigger vision for yourself and your life purpose becomes. Okay? So if that's your journey, now I'm going to give you some insight into mine, just so you know a little bit more about me. I'm not going to give you my whole life story. I'm going to give you the cliff notes. Okay? So I played every sport growing up except football. Coincidentally, I train a ton of football players. I have a lot of football knowledge and background as a strength and conditioning coach. I'm going to be working with USF here in a couple weeks. Penn State, USF football's strength and conditioning coach, Iowa strength and conditioning coach. Big event, looking forward to it. Great experience. I do a lot of things with football players. I train a lot of football athletes. There's a lot of origin that comes from football, but that's the one sport I personally never played. I played every sport but that, and then when I went to college, I went as a sole basketball player. I played basketball freshman and sophomore year, and then after the sophomore season, I went out, kind of just because some friends were doing it, I went out for the track team. And my very first meet, I set the school record for long jump and triple jump, which was cool. Now, granted, I will tell you right now, it was a very new team to the school that I went to. Like, they just got a new track team. So me setting the school record was not a big deal at the time. However, I went on to hold that record for quite some time, even after I graduated. So didn't hold a lot of weight in the beginning, held a lot of weight in the end. Something that I don't hold the record anymore, but it was cool for me. And I shifted. I spent the last 3 years of my college career just doing track, because it was more of an individual sport. I could lift weights. I could put more focus into that. And I also wanted to get deeper into just personal training. I became a certified personal trainer in my junior year when I was 21. I'm 36 now, so I've been certified for 15 years. And I was training like the librarian, faculty, staff, students on my university, working for my university at that time. And then I went on to do a lot of box gyms after college. I was able to do, fitness symposiums nationwide. I studied abroad within my major. And I was doing a lot of this stuff because I was only doing an individual sport, and that was one of the cool things. I went to Portugal, Spain, and France, getting like actual accredited experience within my exercise science degree. Went to the London Olympics in 2012. So when I was 22, I actually moved to Atlanta and worked for a company and a corporate company in the fitness space. Great experience, but at 22, I stepped into that very formidable from a knowledge base and from an athletic background. Initially, for quite a while in my fitness career, I was very general population, meaning people that just wanted to build muscle, lose weight. They weren't currently athletes at that time. What the cool part about that was, and what it set me up to do even now in life as I work with just high school athletes, is I had to learn about not just fitness and nutrition working with them. I had to learn how to implement a lifestyle and a program that they could implement into their life, because life's not perfect and a plan is a plan until it's not, until your day changes. And I had to learn to be the type of coach that could mold what's best for them into the chaos that is inevitable into life. And now if I did that for somebody who has a very crazy on a different way scale than a high school athlete does, high school athletes, it's like cake for me. To even as busy as you are, as high school athletes are, it's very easy for me to do because I can control the controllables, and I know systems and protocols for, in this situation, you need to do this. And in this situation, you're going to experience this, which means you need to counteract with this. I learned this. And I learned a lot of pattern recognition. And that pattern recognition over time has made me a more and more refined coach. And that's what I feel like really separates me from a traditional just strength and conditioning coach or a personal trainer. Is I have that athletic experience and I have that strength and conditioning knowledge, but I also have tremendous amount of knowledge of how to implement it into your life based off whatever you have going on. And we can make that as tailored as we need to, even though, like I said, pattern recognition, 9 times out of 10, whatever you're experiencing, somebody else at some point has, and I know the protocol of how you can overcome that. But doing this and making this shift along the way in my career, I've moved towards high school athletes because, A, my passion at sports. I started lifting weights when I was 13, so I'm 36. I've been lifting weights for 23 years, and I was self-taught. I never, to my knowledge, I've never hired a personal trainer. Maybe a little later in life when I was doing some competition stuff, but definitely nothing growing up. So 23 years of lifting weights, that was initially to just be the best athlete that I could be. And then my obsession just became in how much better life gets when you take care of yourself. But I wanted to come back to that because having worked with an array of people, an array of ages, not only is my passion in sports, but I also know that rather than helping the 40 or 50-year-old get rid of their bad habits and get in shape and get new structure to themselves, instead of breaking down decades of bad decisions and bad habits and doing things the wrong way, how about I get my hands on the 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old and just help him never develop those habits to begin with? How about I put you on a trajectory so that you can live the most formidable life that you're capable of? And I really do have a passion for that. I love that. I love watching someone who's young and hungry and has goals in life and being able to give them the protocol and the blueprint of exactly 100% guaranteed will work if you execute. And that's always easier said than done to execute, but 100% of the time, if you are able to, God willing, you will get to your destination. You will hit a form of your goal for sure. And I love watching that. I love being a part of that process. I love the journey. I love the journey of life. You can see somewhere on my YouTube bio, if you're watching this on YouTube, I have a mission statement, a vision statement, that I'm truly on in life. And I'll let you go look at that for yourself. It's right here on YouTube on my bio. But I have a vision from God that leads me to lead. I've gotten very deep into God's word. When I talk about blueprints and working with athletes on the strength and conditioning side and the nutrition side of things, yes to that. But I also know, having gotten deep into this, that God's word in the Bible is truly the blueprint for every decision, everything you need to do in life. I know this definitively, and I can take that passion and deliver it to others, and it allows me to not just teach you scripture. Yes, I can do that, and I'm going to have my ways of going about doing that, but I can also just give you life directions because I know what the correct answer on the outcome looks like. And having that blueprint of this decision and that decision, I know what to tell people. and it's not coming from me. I just get to be the messenger, and that's the beauty of it. So between the passion to lead and the passion to spread that word in that direction, I also love to build an athlete and empower them beyond sports. If all I did was make you a great athlete, I feel like I did you a disservice. I want you to be the best athlete you can be, but I want you to be the best human you can possibly be. And then we make that, you're going to be successful in any endeavor you want to choose and go after in life. Once you have that discipline, once you have the mindset, once you have the character internally, with all the physical intangibles we build around that, you can become unstoppable at anything you put your mind to. I know this because it's worked for myself as well as many others. And that is the passion that I have, and that's the passion that I carry. This didn't happen when I was 16. If you're watching this video and you're a high school athlete, this came over time, just having a goal here, having a goal there, having a target that I'm focused on, a reason and a why to get up out of bed. When I leave the house, I'm going to do this for this reason. It comes about very naturally. And you learn things about yourself. You learn what you like. You learn what works. You learn what didn't work. And you learn how you can impact others. And if you're young, I know for myself, impacting others, just you got enough things to figure out, so you're not even remotely thinking about that. You're trying to, carve your own path, and you should for this time period. But you'll get to a place in life where having an impact means the most to you, and that will become your purpose later in life. So that is my purpose. I promised you in my initial video that I would give you more of a background on me. You'll find more about me, the teams that I like, what I like to do with my spare time. Like, that'll come naturally. This channel is not about me. This channel is about taking what I know and delivering it to you so that you can be the best version of yourself. That is my passion, and you'll see that as we go. So I will catch you in the next video. We're going to start to get heavier and ramp up the strength and conditioning side of things. You're going to see the system that I have that's very unique. The difference between the way that I coach from a strength and training nutrition standpoint, all of that collectively, I have my own unique style for that too. And we're going to get deep into that. If not the next video, it will be coming up. Okay. So stay tuned, like and subscribe. I look forward to being on this journey with you. Take care and God bless.